Welcome to Trend Guards. Our mission here is absolutely simple. We're here to separate hype from reality. We want to deliver meticulously sourced, highly accurate explainers on the AI and tech trends that are literally reshaping our world. And recently, the physical limits of the human body were shattered, but not by biological enhancement. Nope, it was done by physical AI. In just the span of a few weeks, verified athletic records have completely fallen to Chinese-built robots. We're talking about machines sprinting faster than Usain Bolt, jumping higher than humanly possible, and even a rideable mechanical horse. It's wild. So today, we're breaking down the verified data, the biomechanics, and the ground-level market realities of this absolutely massive shift.
To really grasp the scale of what we're looking at, we have to start with a macro statistic that kind of reframes everything. According to confirmed data from Bloomberg and Forbes, in the first half of 2026, roughly 19,100 humanoid robots were shipped globally. But here's the kicker. Out of that total, Chinese companies accounted for a staggering 97%. 97! This completely flips the narrative for us. While we so often find ourselves debating AI software in the West, China is quietly and decisively dominating the physical deployment of these systems at scale. This isn't some far-off future projection, right? This is the reality on the ground right now. To see exactly how that manufacturing dominance actually translates out in the field, we have to look at raw peak power. Relying purely on official data from the Global Times, Unitree Robotics recently unveiled a brand new humanoid prototype, appropriately called Superman. Official video and reports confirmed that this robot hit a top speed of 12.66 meters per second. Now, to put that into a relatable perspective for you, Usain Bolt's peak instant speed during his historic human world record sprint was approximately 12.4 meters per second. That means a bipedal machine is now officially faster than the fastest human to ever live. It's completely breaking a physical barrier that has defined human athletics for decades. But hey, peak speed is really only half the story when we're evaluating athletic robotics. That exact same Superman robot executed a standing vertical jump of 2.0 meters. That's 6.6 feet straight up into the air. This safely surpasses the human standing high jump world record, which sits at around 1.65 meters. But here is the absolutely crucial point. The machine achieved this on legs that are only 0.85 meters long. It is generating just an immense amount of explosive force from a highly compact frame. And according to Xinhua, the machine achieved these superhuman capabilities after just over 3 months of training. Let that sink in. That astonishing speed of iteration is exactly what separates this new generation of physical AI from literally anything we've seen before. Now, if a 100-meter sprint is all about explosive power, a half marathon is the ultimate test of endurance, thermal management, and battery density. In our second verified case study, which was reported by the Smithsonian and People magazine, a humanoid robot developed by Honor named Lightning ran the actual Beijing half marathon in real-world conditions. It finished the 21-kilometer course in 50 minutes and 26 seconds. That outright beats the human men's world record of 57 minutes and 31 seconds. This is so critical because remember, this wasn't a closed lab test on a treadmill. It was a very public, field victory against human athletes, proving for sure that the hardware can sustain peak output over long durations without critical overheating or battery failure. So we've covered bipedal speed and endurance, but let's shift our focus to off-road payloads. 300. That number right there represents kilograms. That is a massive 660 pounds of payload capacity. This is the official rating for the mechanical Qilin, which is a heavy-duty quadruped robot unveiled by Kepler Robotics. When you move away from humanoids and into these quadruped designs, the focus shifts entirely from human mimicry straight to pure industrial utility and heavy lifting. The mechanical Qilin actually debuted at the 2026 World Robot Conference in Beijing. What is absolutely critical to note here as trend guards is that this was not some polished concept render or a heavily restricted, carefully controlled demo. No way. Visitors actually interacted with it, and get this, they rode it. The machine walked and trotted right through the convention center with live human riders on its back. With a 300-kilogram capacity, this is a legitimate all-terrain transport platform. It is fully capable of carrying an adult human and a substantial amount of gear, specifically targeting sectors like agriculture, emergency response, and logistics, where traditional vehicles might really struggle. You might be wondering, how exactly did this industry go from basic quadruped toys to superhuman athletes and rideable horses in just a few short years? Well, it essentially comes down to 4 confirmed engineering pillars driving this rapid acceleration. First up, actuator cost collapse. Companies are now manufacturing their own joints and motors in-house, which drastically cuts out the middlemen. Second, sim-to-real reinforcement learning, which we'll talk more about in a second, exponentially accelerates software training.
Third, we have massive advancements in battery density, directly leveraging the region's massive electric vehicle supply chains. And fourth, supply chain proximity. Because all the motors, sensors, and chips are literally made within a few hundred kilometers of the assembly lines, these companies are pushing out hardware revisions on a weekly basis, rather than waiting months for overseas shipping. It's incredibly efficient. To really understand this incredible speed of iteration, we need to look closely at Pillar 2, sim-to-real reinforcement learning. This is the exact AI training method that explains how Unitree's Superman went from a basic prototype to breaking the vertical jump record in just 3 months. Here's how it works. Engineers run millions of simulated physical actions, like jumps, falls, and recoveries, in a virtual software environment. The AI effectively masters the physics of the movement virtually, failing and learning thousands of times a minute. Then, they take that finalized, learned mastery and transfer it directly to the physical robot hardware. It completely bypasses the need for years of slow, dangerous, and expensive real-world trial and error. It's basically a real-life cheat code.
And this powerful combination of engineering efficiencies leads directly to collapsing unit economics. Take a look at this. The Unitree R1 has a consumer tier entry point starting at just $4,900. Even their much more capable G1 developer platform ranges between $16,000 and $30,000. Now, compare this to Western platforms like the 1X Neo, sitting around $20,000, or heavy enterprise models like the Fourier GR1 that can stretch anywhere from $50,000 up to $80,000. The impact here is profound, right? Aggressive in-house manufacturing is driving the price of highly capable humanoids down to the cost of a used car. When physical AI drops from an $80,000 capital expenditure down to a $4,900 consumer purchase, the barrier to widespread adoption effectively disappears. And the velocity of this manufacturing scale? It's entirely unprecedented in robotics. Let's look at Agibot, who is currently the global shipment leader for industrial applications. Official company data confirms they shipped their 5,000th unit in December of 2025. Just 3 months later, by March 2026, they had already shipped their 10,000th unit. They are effectively doubling their massive deployment scale in a single quarter. This is practically the hardware equivalent of Moore's Law, playing out in real time with complex physical machines. Because of this massive velocity, market analysts have had to radically revise their 2026 market projections upward. The industry is currently tracking a staggering 272% year-over-year shipment growth rate. Previous estimates for the full 2026 year were sitting at a somewhat modest 28,000 units, but based on confirmed shipment data, that has now been revised to an overwhelming 50,000 units. The sheer volume of hardware entering the market right now is fundamentally altering the global robotics landscape way faster than traditional financial models can even predict. And this massive growth, it isn't coming from just one centralized company. Actually, it's being driven by a diverse, fiercely competitive ecosystem. You have Unitree dominating the consumer and athletic space with unmatched agility. Agibot is leading global industrial shipments for factory deployment. Then there's UBTech, focusing on enterprise-level fleet control with their BrainNet AI, which allows multiple robots to work together seamlessly. Kepler is specializing in those heavy-duty 300-kilogram platforms, like the Qilin. And even Honor, traditionally a smartphone company, is jumping in to set endurance records. This intense internal competition is exactly what accelerates hardware revisions across the board, pushing the entire sector forward at breakneck speed. As trend guards, our mandate means we don't just report the shiny breakthroughs, we analyze the realities and the future risks attached to these developments. And to be clear, there are highly significant risks attached to these confirmed facts. First is safety. I mean, a machine that can jump 2 meters and run over 12 meters per second is profoundly dangerous in an unpredictable consumer environment if its control systems were to fail. Second is dual-use capability. A robot designed for search and rescue is functionally identical to a battlefield asset. Third, we face inevitable geopolitical friction, such as U.S. chip export controls and potential tariffs aiming to slow this momentum down. And finally, market concentration. Having 97% of the global market concentrated in one specific region creates a massive single point of failure for the entire global supply chain. So, distilling all these verified facts, here are the playbook actions you should take away from this explainer, separating what is happening right now from the projected future. For consumers out there, watch that $4,900 Unitree R1 pre-order window closely. It represents the first true consumer-tier physical AI. For builders and developers, recognize that the Chinese open-weight robotic stack is rapidly becoming the new default environment for development. For investors, keep a close eye on the secondary companies driving that 272% year-over-year supply chain growth. And for policymakers, it is absolutely vital to acknowledge that a 97% shipment concentration is a veritable hardware Sputnik moment that demands a strategic response. The physical AI revolution is no longer a 5-year future projection. It is a current, verified reality filled with machines that outrun us, outlast us, and can be ridden like horses. We've seen the raw data, the incredibly compressed timelines, and the profound economic shift in unit costs today. So I will leave you with this provocative question to think about. With 97% of worldwide shipments currently centralized, is this a wake-up call for Western robotics to catch up? Or are we simply watching a completely different game entirely? Thank you so much for joining me on this TrendGuards Explainer. Stay informed, stay focused, and keep learning.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow. See you in the next video.